it's Tracy with RV SWAT. Temperatures are dropping. We decided we would check the furnace before we head north for the sugar beet harvest. And guess what? It's not lighting. Stick around. Let's see what happens.
Alright, so as Tracy said, another RV project, just like always. As you guys know, there's always something to work on. So what I'm sitting in front of is our furnace. The problem that we're having is whenever we kick the furnace on, the blower turns on, but it never ignites. So there's a few things that could be wrong, and I'll show you how to troubleshoot some of these things. A lot of times when that happens, it's going to be your sail switch, which if you look right here, this is a sail switch. What happens is when this blower kicks on, it forces air to push up this paddle right here. When that paddle pushes up, it makes connectivity, and this sends the voltage through to your igniter. So a lot of times you'll get build up dog hair, fur, stuff like that built up, and it won't make contact. This one seems to be making contact, but one way that I can check for sure is I can use my ohm meter, and I can ohm it out and just listen for a buzz. So what happens is when you put your ohm meter and touch both connectors on the sail switch, you don't hear any buzzing, but as soon as I trip the switch, all right, you hear my meter is buzzing. So the continuity going through the sail switch is okay. So that part is not the problem. So what we could do now is just start tracing your voltage and see if we have any kind of voltage issues. Now, I didn't show tearing this down and getting into this because everybody's RV is different. So, you know, some RVs you can access through a panel on the outside like this. Some of them you have to get in a cabinet inside. Whatever it is, you have to find your figure out your situation and get to this part to where you can get to the control board, which is back here, and then all your wiring here. So let me just look at a few things on the voltage. So the first thing I'm going to check is put my meter on DC, and I'm going to check my voltage, main voltage coming in. And you can see we have 13.73 volts. So we have our main voltage is good coming into the furnace. And then from here it goes to, let me try to find the ground here. I got 13 volts there, so I'm doing good there. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be in the board. I'll check my continuity on the sail switch. I have voltage coming into the system. My guess would be the board. I think the problem is going to be in the board. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm not an RV mechanic. I just troubleshoot, try to figure out what I can. It's going to be one of two things, either the limit switch or the control board. I think I'm going to go ahead and order a control board for a couple reasons. One, I want to upgrade all my boards to Dinosaur electronic boards anyway. I put a Dinosaur electronic board in my hot water heater a few months back. I recorded that, but all the footage was corrupt, so I wasn't able to put that video out. So I knew I wanted a Dinosaur board in here anyway, so now's the perfect time. So let me go ahead and pull this board out. I'll show you the old board, and then I'll show you the new Dinosaur electronic board. All right, so I got the old board out, and we're just going to take this one off. This is the wire going to the igniter, so we'll unhook that, unhook the plug, and then just take this board off. All right, so here's the old board, and I'll show you how this one compares to Dinosaur electronic board that I ordered. Again, I am familiar with this board because I put one in my hot water heater. Now, this board, it's made in the USA, and it has a 3-year warranty on this board. Completely happy with the one that I have in the hot water heater. I put it in, I think probably 5 or 6 months ago, something like that, and it's been working wonderful. This board is universal and it'll fit in a lot of different appliances. There is a jumper. If you use it in a hot water heater, you will have to remove this jumper, so it'll be an instant fire board. From the factory, it is set up for a furnace because it'll have that delay ignition. So let's go ahead and get this thing plugged in and see how we're doing. It should fit right on where the old board comes in, same size, so everything should line right up. Get these screws back on. All right, before I get it all back together all the way, I am gonna hook it up out here and run a test. So we'll get the igniter plugged in there, we'll get the board plugged in. All right, so after putting the board in and testing it out, I've determined that it wasn't the board. So that was my mistake. I should have done a little more research and a little more troubleshooting. I think it was mainly because I just wanted a dinosaur electronic board because I love the one that I put in my hot water heater. So I knew I wanted one in my furnace, so I was just assuming it was the board. So anyway, long story short, that was not the problem, but I do have a new dinosaur electronic board in it. But after some more investigation, I realized the board wasn't even getting power. So I had to look at what devices get power before the board. And from my new research, I think it's going to be the limit switch, which is, this is what a limit switch looks like. I'll show you here. It's a limit switch. And the thing is, this is all the way on the back of the furnace. I have not pulled the furnace completely out yet, but I know that I'm not getting power to my sail switch, and this is before the sail switch in the circuit. So I went ahead and picked it up because since I have to pull the furnace completely out anyway, I didn't want to pull it out and not have the part on hand. So I went ahead and got the part. So we're going to pull it out, swap this part out, and see what happens. All right, as you can see, I have the whole furnace pulled out, and now I have it sitting over on the picnic table, so we'll go over and take a look over there. All right, so this is the front end that you saw earlier whenever we were changing the board. The board actually sits back here, so I had the new dinosaur electronic board in there, but I was never getting, if you can see, there's a light, a little LED bulb. I was never getting light there, which means I was not getting power to the board. So tracing a 12-volt power, we see that it comes back here to the limit switch. This is the high limit switch, and using my meter, if I put it on continuity test here, and you see when you get continuity, you'll hear the beep, but you'll see when I run the test, see if I can do this one-handed, no continuity here. So no continuity there means bad limit switch. Alright, now that we tested this and saw that it was bad, no continuity, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off of here. Okay. Alright, so we'll pull the old one off. Just to let you know what this device does, it sits back here against the, this is where all the heat runs through from the furnace. So the the flame is up front, and it heats everything in this chamber as the air circulates through. What this does is this sits back here and it's just looking for heat. It trips it, I forget what the temperature was, this one doesn't say it, but if any heat is leaking out of this chamber or gets too hot here or flame or anything like that, this will trip and shut down the gas flow. So everything on this furnace is designed to be safe. The sail switch that I showed you, this switch, the relay, everything is designed to, if any of this fails, it'll shut the gas off to save your rig basically. So just to show you, before I put the new one on, remember we tested the old one and had no continuity. Now we're on the new one and we have continuity. So for some reason this old one is open circuit for some reason. So let's put the new one on. So remember this white wire, I'll show you something back on the front end in just a minute. And I'll show you the mistake I made in troubleshooting so that you don't make the same mistake. Alright. If you remember, whenever we first started in the video, I assumed it was the board right from the get-go because I had no voltage at the cell switch here. We knew the cell switch was working. I had continuity here, but it wasn't passing voltage. I was mistakenly assuming that the voltage came from the board. In my research, I now know the board is the last thing to get voltage. And let me explain how it works. So power comes in from your rig. The power comes in and hits this relay. From this relay, it passes to the motor, which we know the relay was working because remember, the motor was kicking on, which the motor kicking on was triggering the cell switch. But the power, remember the white wire I showed you in the back? So here's the white wire. It leaves the relay with the voltage and goes back to that limit switch. So I knew I had voltage here because the fan was coming on, which means I had voltage here going back to the limit switch. The black wire leaves the limit switch and comes to the cell switch. I had no voltage here. So if I would have done a little more research and troubleshooting, I would have known I was losing my voltage between here and here, which the only thing between here and here is that limit switch in the back. So now I'll get it all put back together and we'll run a test on it and see if I have voltage and see if the light's coming on the board. Okay, we have it back in. We have the gas hooked back up. Switch is on, power is plugged in. What we're going to be looking for when I give Tracy the signal to turn this thing on, I want that LED back there to light up after the fan's been on for a few seconds, because that's what we're missing, was power to the board. So fingers are crossed. Let's knock on the wall, give Tracy the signal. Now she should turn the furnace on. Now fan kicked on. Cell switch went in, and now we have a light. Yay! So we have voltage, which means in about a 15-second delay, that board should kick over and turn the gas on. So we should hear it ignite. There it goes. I heard it. Oh, heat. Perfect timing. Oh yeah. Now we got heat. See, the light is red. That means we have ignition. So let me get all this put back together and I will see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, we finally got her done. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Click the thumbs up button. Comment below. I'm curious to know how many people knew what the problem was before I found it. I know I kind of worked backwards there. So it took me longer to find it than what it should have. So let me know if you knew what the problem was. So I hope the video helped a bunch of you out. Save you some time if you have problems with your furnace. So learn from my mistakes, live and learn, blah, 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 all that good stuff. And we're going to continue on down the road, guys. And we'll see you in the next video.